Hey guys, in this video I wanted to do a breakdown of my favourite trailer this month, which is the Marvel's final trailer. It's really great, this trailer, and I'll show you why I really love it. But first of all, notice the length. It's 2 minutes, which is a decent sort of 20-30 seconds shorter than a lot of trailers. That's not a bad thing because it punches a lot of weight in those 2 minutes. My favourite thing about this is the way the composer, who I don't know who it is, I rarely know who it is when it's first come out, but I really love what the composer's done with the progression and shifting a couple of one major chord to a minor chord, especially in the second act. And I really love the build in the third act too. So I've actually done something a little bit different this week. I have decided to break it down into the basic parts, because actually, when you hear the final trailer, you're often like, this is really amazing. How am I supposed to produce stuff like this? But then when you break it down, you strip away all the samples and you go, what have they written? And, you know, aside from, I haven't done any percussion stuff, really. But this is the bare bones of it. This is I might have got a few notes wrong here and there, but this is the essentials of it, which is what I teach in my courses. The training music course, I talk about like sketching out the tracks. The hybrid course, sketch out your tracks. All of my courses, sketch it out first, because then you've got all the stuff to work with, the core elements. So I'm really excited about this. And, you know, I've coloured it just so it's easy. You know, you've got Act 1 in kind of snot green, Act 2 in sort of a lovely grey blue, Act 3 in a nice light purple, and Act 4 in, I guess, poo brown? Or is that maroon? I can't tell. It's on the edge of my screen and the sun's shining. Somewhere, the sun is shining somewhere. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to watch the trailer and I'm going to break down each section, and then I'm going to go into my Logic session and talk about it in more detail. So, first of all, let's go.
Heroes. It's an old-fashioned notion, but the world can still use them.
Ready.
Whatever it takes.
Boom. Right, I'm going to stop you there, because so often people, myself included, make the mistake of just treating Act 1 as block 30 seconds. Boom. Think of Act 1, same with Act 2, and sometimes Act 3, same with Act 4, in two halves. And what we have there, if we jump into it, is the first half, this up to here. We have a little drone and a statement of the melody. Now, I teach this in my training music course as well, which is like what you're trying to do in the first sort of bit of Act 1 is kind of just hint at what's to come. And what they've done is they've done a dual thing here. They've kind of gone Avengers theme, you know, which I like. A little bit sad, wistful. And it gets us in the right frame of mind. And I love the kind of like soft porn, soft glow type of thing. Which, you know, it's telling us it's in the past, man. So let's move on to second half of Act 1.
Whatever it takes.
Here we go.
We destroyed Thanos. But it's not over.
My work is inevitable. There will always be more to finish it.
This is just the beginning.
Right, okay. There's two elements going on here. So I've left the grey bit out there for this kind of like stop down build, but the first element in the second half of Act 1 is we've got a restatement of the melody, but we have a restatement of the melody with the chords, you know, with that kind of like boys choir ooh underneath, which gives it this kind of wistful and dramatic thing going on. So just so you don't know, guys, we're in 90 BPM and we're in the key of D minor. So statement of the D minor chord, and then as we introduce the melody, G minor, and this is my favourite bit, the B flat major into the C, then back onto the root chord. So that little progression there, that last bit there, from D minor to B flat to C to D minor. one of the most common chord progressions you're going to hear in trailer music, which is minor 1, flattened major 7 chord, flattened major 6th chord, flattened major 7 chord. So 1 flat 7. Keep saying that. 1 flat 6 flat 7. Slap. Okay. And then we go into the stop down. Okay, but instead of it just being a regular stop down, what the composer is doing, what the trailer is doing, is saying, actually, this is where the trouble starts. And that's what Act 2 is all about. Remember, it's all about like showing everyone that actually this is where the problem is. And we're introduced to that character who, you know, as much as I do consider myself a bit of a Marvel nerd, I don't know who that is just yet. I know some of you go, boo, Rich, what are you thinking? And here we're introduced to the dangers. And the composer has decided to go, you know what? I'm going to bring in the Brahms in the root of D. And we're going to bring the drums in. Dun, 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 oosh. And then we come straight in with Act 2. So let's watch Act 2 and listen. So I want you to listen to how the composer is using the short string pattern. And if you can recognize it. And how the composer is using the harmony as well.
She tore a hole in space. There's a different reality leading into ours.
Right, only a brief stop here. Keep listening, because this next bit I really, really like.
What are you prepared to do?
I'm invincible.
Your powers only make me stronger.
So you can't be matched. Can't be controlled. I'm asking for one last fight.
No, let's stop it there. I just realised listening back to that I've made a slight error. There we go. Okay, right. So we are Act 2. So it's in 2 parts. Act 2 Part 1, Act 2 Part 2, which as you can see is the colour blue for Act 2. Although purple doesn't rhyme with 3 and green doesn't rhyme with 1. I should have thought about that more. String pattern. So that's D minor going to the flat 6, going to the flat 7 of C. Okay, right. Now, again, it sounds so unimpressive when you do this, but it's really, really great what the composer's done here. They've established the chord sequence again, but they've gone, you know what, we're gonna give it longer. We're gonna give each chord 2 bars, and so we can hear the short string pattern. Do, 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 do. We're going to hear that pattern twice over each chord. And then we're going to cut that last one in half. Boom. And then obviously we get that still on Captain Marvel, you know, just contemplating the fact that she's going to have to get involved. Because, you know, she's all powerful and awesome. And then we come in with this section here, which, yeah, if we look at, the string pattern just jumps up an octave. Ding, ding. Same thing, but what happens is this. The composer has halved or doubled up the chords so that each chord only lasts for 1 bar. And instead of it just being D minor, B flat, C, D minor, great progression. They've gone, let's go D minor. Let's go B flat, and then let's throw in a major 4, a G major, which is the lovely bit of writing I really, really like. Back to the B flat, then we have Console 1, what have you done? Then we have same thing again, D minor, B flat, that G, that major 4, that gives it a lift, or perfect 4, however you want to call it. And then back to the B flat. And then what they do here after repeating that chord progression twice, they land on the flat 7 of the C, which gives us that hold, that tension. It wants to resolve, but it hasn't resolved. So let's have a quick listen. B flat, major 4, major 6, flat 6, D minor, B flat, G major. Hear that lift, B flat, and then we land on the 7, the flat 7 chord, and then they bring in the rhythm. Classic. Triplets. We love a triplet. Triplets are that kind of like stutter effect that we can create as composers, as producers, that makes it feel like it's coming to a halt, but we don't know when. And we don't know how. I really, really love that little section. I love the lift with that G major, because they could have gone D minor, B flat, G minor, B flat, which works. It's a bit sadder, but with the D minor, B flat, hello, it gives you that hope, it gives you that lift, and you suddenly go, yes, we can do this, which is exactly what you want to kind of give the audience, that feeling in Act 2. Let's go on to Act 3.
Monica!
You cannot protect your people.
You can stand tall without standing alone.
They're here.
Love that section. Let's have a look at that. Purple Schmerple 3, Act 3. The composer holds us on the root for this one, and we get this progressive rising of the top notes. You might notice that I haven't actually done the top line in here. Maybe I'll do that next time, but kind of forgot. So let's take a look at it. So we've got this little bit here. Apology to the composer if you see this and I get this wrong, which I may have done, but the gist is there. So you can kind of see what's happening. We're staying on the root of D, but we're kind of going D minor, C, B flat. We're kind of using essentially those notes over the top of it, but because the root in the D kind of gives us this like pulling down. It holds us down whilst we've got this rising idea of going from F as our top note to G, to A, and then to B flat, to C, to D. So we're kind of constantly rising up this. We're rising up in the scale. It's kind of like one of those tricks that you should never overlook. Because as you can see, that is really successful what they've done. It really gives us this tension. It's essentially a riser in the key. D, 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 D. We're going up, and we don't know when it's going to stop, and we're going to hold it there. And then we resolve. Really great little thing. I love what the composer's done up here with the B flat and the A. That's the type of thing I wouldn't do, not because I don't think it's good. I wouldn't do it because I wouldn't think to do it, but it's really good. This kind of like movement between the flat 6th and the 5th of the root chord. It just feels awkward. And that's what you want, because you want them to go, business. He wants to feel excited. I think they've done a great job, really great job. And of course, we have the final.
The Marvels, rated PG-13.
Oh,
Monica, you gotta fly.
no.
Black Girl Magic! In theaters Friday. Get tickets now.
Brilliant. Love that bit. Which I didn't bother to do this last bit really because it's the Avengers theme. And then they reiterate it a tiny bit with the piano. Whoops. Something like that. Now, what could you take away from this? Because I'm not doing these breakdowns just because I love them. I'm doing them because I want to educate you about writing these stuff for these big trailers. Because these big trailers, admittedly, are what 90% of us are going for. 90% of us are like, please, can I land a Marvel trailer? Please, can I land a DC trailer? Yeah, that's what we're aiming for. Now, I don't know whether this was custom or not, but what can you take away from it? There's a couple of things. The use of jumping octaves, really straightforward. Act 1, we hear the melody 1 octave down, then we hear it up 2 octaves up. But this time, the progression is hinted at. Now, when we move into Act 2, again, this is a really interesting one. I like the fact they've kind of got the short pattern from the Avengers melody. Nice. But as a composer, we can sit back and go, oh, it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be crazy. Sometimes the simplest string pattern is the best one. So we've got that out of the way. We don't have to panic. We can just do this. Brilliant. Hooray. That's my string pattern. And again, you hear it once in this octave, in the C3 range, and then we jump it up an octave into the C4 range and the C5 range. Who'd have thought? It's like recycling the same idea, but because it jumps up, our ears hear it differently. Our ears go, ooh, what's happened? Something's changed. Nothing. So, first time we hear the chord progression, we don't hear the full progression in Act 2, which I really like. Then the second one, it doubles down. They double down in the speed of it. And they utilise a slight, taking a chord from another key or a mild key change, however you want to view it, whether you're going pivot chords, whether you're going unrelated major key, unrelated minor key, whatever it is. It's not completely unrelated, admittedly, but sharpening or turning the minor 4 into a major 4 works really, really well, especially for these heroic lifts. And then at the end here, holding on the 7, I don't mean, the 7 from the boys, I mean holding on to the 7th chord, so that we resolve. And then Act 3, that's the other thing I like about this third act here. It's almost like a fourth act. It's almost like, oh, actually, this doesn't feel like an Act 3. It's almost like Act 2 here, this second section of Act 2 feels more like Act 3, and this section here feels more like Act 4. But what it says to us as composers is we can just take the key we're in, take the scale we're in, and utilise clever scale movement to bring the tension. I mean, most of what we're hearing in this section here is just nice orchestration and production, because what we're hearing is this, rising up over the root. It's really simple, but it works so well. Don't overlook these simple things. So if I was going to say to myself, I want to write a track like this, I would probably, let me just do a slight rearrangement of this track. I would probably say, I probably wouldn't have put the Avengers theme in there, admittedly, or there, because this isn't a custom. This is me just writing it. I would say that this is Act 3 here, or Act 4, and then we have a third act here, and these would probably be bigger, longer. So we'd probably say, okay, let's do this, and this is actually more like that. So I would probably structure this track like that, perhaps like this, so that we then end up with a 2 minutes 30 track. That's what you're aiming for. You want to have this track that's 2 minutes 30 upwards, so that they've got the goods to cut down and say, you know what, we don't need that, bosh, don't need that, bosh, let's chop this, move this here, chop this, move this here, get them to do a custom Avengers orchestration, and we have our trailer. Right, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you like these type of breakdowns, go to my website, richardpryn.com, and sign up to my Trailer Music Monthly newsletter, which is where, like, every month, I talk about my favourite trailer of the month. I choose 8 other trailers that I think are worth you listening to the music for, whether it's because of the rhythm in a specific section, or whether it's because of the whole usage, or whether it's just because of the unusual sounds we're hearing. And then I talk about good trailer tools and my latest content to do with trailer music. And yeah, head over to my website and sign up to that newsletter, and I'll see you there. How do I stop this?